October 28, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. For the most part, it was just sideways. It was probably a 24-point range. Well, actually, if you take the actual absolute to the bottom, the top, it looks like it's 24, but I would say it's closer to about, I don't know, from what I think it was most of the range is probably from here at 83 all the way down to, I don't know, I'd say about 60. So it's about 20, 25-point range. It was really slow trading day, not a lot of price action. Volume was also very low. This is how I drew up the charts today. There was a lot of choppy sideways action. They later kind of formed this trading range that had some somewhat consistent lows and somewhat consistent highs, but nothing really set up. I ended up taking one trade today, which was profitable. It was early on. And then I could only really identify two other trades. One of them was a possible trade, and one of them was an almost trade. So I'm going to get into the setups right now. So in the pre-market, prices kind of gapped up. There was no economic data today, so nothing to really motivate the market to move one way or another or to spike. So this is the pre-market. It's just kind of chopping on the open. So it had this green down channel, and then it looked like there was maybe one leg, maybe two legs. You could maybe argue for three legs, but I just saw it as one big leg for now. Then it had a break, and then it moved down on this red down channel. Looks like it's one leg, pull back, second leg, and then shortly after it sets up my first trade. It's kind of okay. So it was a new high. It's a first entry long, and you don't really get a second entry long. But then there was a new low. It's a first entry short, and right here you get a second entry short. So in real time, this is what I'm seeing. I'll admit it is aggressive. To break this orange up channel, you could say it has two legs down, but I also saw it potentially as one leg down. And then the break of this red down channel could be one push up, one attempt down, push up. It could make a second attempt down to try to test the bottoms or the lows of this red down channel. Or it could be a break, one attempt up, because it wants to test the highs of this green up channel. So it's a little ambiguous, but what I did notice was it had trouble with this 4 matching highs. So it pushed up 2, 3, 4. 4 attempts up. Each attempt, this is a strong attempt. This is a little bit stronger, a little weaker now. And then this is definitely a lot weaker, this attempt. And you can see it closed. Now the EMA is below. The EMA is sideways. So it did close below the EMA, but I don't really trust the EMA as a reliable key entry point. But I did notice those 4 attempts up. First attempt, first entry short, pull back. It's about to create a second entry short. On top of that, they're showing indecision here. So I kind of thought it was definitely aggressive. I thought it was a little bit of a hunch trade. So I did take it. I actually waited. So this one opened here. It started flashing. It never broke above the previous. And then finally, when it broke below this doji inside bar, I admit it is a little riskier. It's a little ambiguous. I put my entry one tick below. So I actually tick below, move a little further, dropped it in, I got picked up, and it closed right here, still below the EMA. But as I said, the EMA doesn't really matter as much, but I was having an inkling that it would be enough for a push down for 1 point. But on the second candle, it kind of created another inside bar doji. Now, keep in mind, my stop's actually way up here. Now, this is really high, so I decided to go for a 2-point scalp, because if I'm going to risk this much, I might as well try to go for 2. And as you can see, I got my 2 points, so it's 58.75, and I got out at 53, 58.73.50. So it's my 2-point scalp. I move my runner from here, the stop on the runner from here down to here. Move down, I moved it to 1 tick above this guy, then 1 tick above this guy, and then I got stopped out. So it was an aggressive trade. I don't think it was the best setup, but for whatever, not for whatever reason, but I saw this 4 attempts up, and I thought it was like a first attempt, second attempt. So I just had an inkling that it was enough to push down. Now it is choppy sideways, so it could have easily have gone against me. But since I kept my stop above here, I was a little more confident because it looked like I had trouble breaking above. And I did increase the profit target to 2 points instead of my usual 1 point. So I was able to get scalp out. And then prices started moving down. There's no clean setup here. I was watching, there's a new high here. It's a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long, potentially bounce off this yellow down channel, but it's a terrible signal bar. And it's kind of below the EMA. So EMA is starting to show some bearish tendencies. So I had to just kind of sit and wait. So here I do have it established as a yellow down channel. Nothing really clean. There's a new low here, first entry short. Technically I have a second entry short here, but this isn't a very convincing signal bar, so it's just better to wait. It also looked like it was going sideways now because I did have the range a little bit higher and tighter. So looks like you're in the middle of the range. It's a little hard to trust that it's going to be a short. Turns out it confirms the second entry short, but nothing really here. Price is pushed down, breaks out of this yellow up channel. Let's say first entry short here. Technically, I'm looking for a second entry short. It doesn't make it here. Makes 3 matching bottoms. So now I'm abandoning all thoughts of going short and move right back into this potential trading range because it's hitting the support here. So, but I'm also not ready to go long yet because it's not a clean setup. Prices move, starts pushing up on this yellow up channel, and it creates what I considered a lower high. This is what I thought was a possible trade because if you look at a bigger time frame, is like one measured move up, 2 attempts down, and another measured move up. So it looked like it completed a measured move up and then some. Now this blue line was here, but I didn't really trust it as any kind of resistance yet. But I also saw this as a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. So it's a new low here is a first entry short, second entry short on the technical count, but also saw it as a visual one leg up, first attempt down, second leg up, second attempt down, especially after this big push down. So this is a possible trade, but I just felt a little uneasy about it. And I did like the close at the low. Now, technically this made a matching high, but since it made a matching high, this is such a strong reversal bar, I counted it as a lower high. So it's a first entry short, second entry short on the visual, lower high, good strong close, enough room to the EMA, enough room to this possible orange up channel support. So I was thinking it also hit the top. Now it might be coming back down to test the bottom. So the only thing also is this is a little bit larger signal bar. This is a 13 tick signal bar. So it's a little bit more aggressive. So I left it alone. Looked like it would have worked, flushed through. Prices then continue moving. You do have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, good signal bar for second entry short. Measured move, it's kind of like has been made, so it's a little ambiguous. There's enough room to the EMA. It's kind of flattening out, so I left it alone. Gets a little noisy here. It starts breaking down on this green down channel. You do have technically like a localized new high. It's first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here. There's a break of this green down channel. Break and test the low. But seeing this, I was a little weary. I wanted a higher low, ideally above the EMA. You get a higher low here, but the thing that stopped me from taking this higher low is it made a matching high. It didn't even break one tick above. So it feels a little sketchy because this also made a push up to this line here. Second one was subsequent bearish bar that failed hard. So I'm a little unsure what's going to happen here. Then it creates a doji, but I was, okay not taking a trade because I don't think there's really anything here. You do have a second entry short here technically. First entry short, second entry short, confirm second entry short, then pushes up. You have a second entry short failure. You have a failure when it's confirmed right here, but also made another matching high. So it's just very congested. Not congested, but it's just very ambiguous right now. So I'm just leaving things alone. Break of this up channel, tested the new high, starting to reverse. The first entry long, you don't really get a second entry long till here. But it feels a little far from the whole setup. It feels also in the middle of nowhere. I was searching for a possible support area, but it's you could argue where the support really is. It could be here, or maybe it's a little lower. And when there's this many factors, because I rather the body touch instead of these little wicks, because one touch, two touch, technically have a third touch. We also have a fail breakout. I didn't think there was really anything there. Price then continue moving, breaks and goes down. There's a new low. It's a first entry short, pull back. This is what I considered an almost trade. Now, I didn't have this red channel fully trusted yet because I did have a trend line drawing from here to here, but it was, it didn't touch depending on how you drew it. But then I also turned it into a channel and it looked like it touched here, touched here. There's like 3 confirmations and you just now made a third confirmation. So I thought that was a little early. I did see it as one leg up pullback right here, a second leg up, but I also saw it as possibly just one big leg up. Now, if this red down channel had been confirmed by another touch, say up here or just in between here, then I would have trusted this a little bit more. But this is the third touch, and it could push up again. So I'm just a little weary, but I did like the signal bar and I did like the close below the EMA. So it looked like it would have worked though, but I wanted a lower high confirmation. And unfortunately, you get a lower high here, but it's a wrong color because it needs to be red and it's already pressing toward the low. To go short on a lower high into support feels dicey and it's far from the EMA, so nothing really here. And prices continue moving. You have a first entry short. Technically, you have a way up here, a second entry short, but you're not right here. You're not thinking short. Then you have a confirmed second entry short. Nothing really, but then you do have a lower high here. So at the time, the trading range wasn't up here. I had it actually down here at this solid blue line. I saw this as a potential fail breakout and a potential lower high here. The thing I didn't like about the lower high is I would have considered at best an almost trade because it also ticked down and made a matching bottom, and it could be breaking, failing, failing the breakout, and then moving back into range. So it was just a little unclear. But I did like that it moved one tick up and then pushed down and engulfed the previous candle. So actually, I will take that back. Maybe it is a lower high, but I just considered an almost trade. I just wasn't too sure about it. So I'll mark it as a lower high in hindsight, thinking about it. But in real time, I just avoided it. Excuse me, didn't mean to do that. And prices move down. You technically have a new high, first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here, but you're not thinking going long. It just doesn't look very clean. And if you saw it as a push down breakout, this is like a third entry long. There's just nothing really here. You also have a new low, first entry short, technically a second entry short, but these candles are just really huge. Technically, these two are also inside this guy. So it's just all working within the range of this one big candle. So nothing super enticing. You do have a new high here. So first entry long, second entry long. Again, these two candles are inside this big candle. So again, it's just a little ambiguous. Just wait for a better setup. Here, I do see that this is potentially the trading range bounds, the highs, potentially the lows. So it breaks out. Test of this break of this green up channel, no real setup. You do have a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but again, you have another inside bar to this guy. So even though it has a decent signal bar here to potentially go short, you can't really trust it yet because you're thinking on a smaller visual. If you're not thinking of range yet, this green break wants to test its high. So it's just nothing here, which is you could see it as a bigger visual first entry short, second entry short, but this is a bad signal bar to go short. This you could consider this maybe a lower high, but this isn't quite set up right. It is at the top of the range, but it is pressing at the highs of the range. Breaks out, comes back, first entry long, then you make a new high, so the count resets. It's just slow trading, slow price action, clearly going sideways. It's just whipsaw. So it was, in a funny way, a little, kind of like a little bit boring and a little exhausting watching this play out because these candles are taking a while and they're just set up all these almost scenarios where you can make a case that it could be the other way to what you're thinking. So it was just kind of definitely sit on hands, work on your patience. It's a new high. It's a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here. You can see as one leg pull back, second leg, but it was just nothing really clean set up. There's a new low. It's a first entry short. Then you make another new low. So then you discount it. Also, I'm not really sure what happened here, but the size of these candles got very large, which makes me immediately feel more cautious because even if you try to enter and you try to enter on a limit order, these things are moving, they're moving quite large. And so it's easy to get stopped out on the same candle, you know, that you, for me, I could enter a trade and get stopped out on the same candle because when I enter, I probably had to drag my stop out to the outer bounds, and I don't know that I would do it in time, that the price action might actually just kick me out of the trade. So seeing something like this makes me extra cautious. So again, it's just kind of spindly, a lot of little wicks, nothing really enticing. I just see it as a one leg up, pull back, another leg up, but nothing really great here. It's a new low here. It's a first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here. Maybe top of the range. Felt a little bit too aggressive, but I just kind of left it alone. It starts moving down here, but then you're already entering into the last 10 minutes of the day. And also, when you're at this point where there's only about an hour left of trading, I was pretty grateful on my one profitable trade, one and only trade today, but I didn't want to risk something back here going against me because I'll admit this trade here was aggressive. It isn't the cleanest setup, but I kind of saw it and interpreted it as like it looks like the uptrend has played out. There could be at least enough for a scalp. And then when this following candle was inside, I figured, okay, well, I want to increase my profit target to accommodate the risk that I'm taking. And it just happened to work out. Now, would I take this again? I don't think so. But there are certain trades when you see it, you for sure know, like, oh, this is a good setup. If I lost on it, I feel okay. If I lost on this setup, I think I would have felt a little bit kicking myself because it wasn't the cleanest setup. And then in hindsight, after the day is done, seeing how many actual setups there were, I'm just, especially when it's the last 30 minutes, last 30, 45 minutes, I'm just grateful there's one trade that I took, that it worked out, that I wasn't going to risk anything back here. So, not how I saw the day today. So, hopefully that was helpful.